Welcome to the Tech Mobility Podcast.
I'm Ken Chester. On the docket, my review of the 2025 Nissan Murano, the lifestyle airline, and electric power on the moon. To join the conversation, call or text the Tech Mobility Hotline. That number, 872-222-9793, or you can email the show directly, talk@techmobility.show. For those of you on Substack, you can find me at Ken C. Iowa. That's K-E-N, the letter C, I-O-W-A. I am a proud member of the Iowa Writers Collaborative. Come join us. From the Tech Mobility News Desk, time to talk about Volvo. And with everything going on, Volvo is to drop EVs, wagons, and sedans as they pivot to crossovers in the United States. This is from Automotive News. This is talking about future product. And they open with saying that Volvo will lean on its trio of mild and plug-in hybrid crossovers to drive U.S. sales. Hybrids. Right now, the industry was pivoting to hybrids anyway, for all the reasons. 1, range. 2, recharging. 3, price. Those three things came together, and while EVs have stalled a little bit, they're not totally off the map, but consumers are saying, we like the idea of alternative fuels, but we're not ready to go all EV, all in 100% just yet. Hybrids gives us the best of both worlds. We still got range. We won't have range anxiety. We will get performance that is better. So we're going to buy a hybrid. In the next few years, the Swedish automaker will abandon the low-volume sedan and wagon markets and focus on its gasoline-powered crossovers. Gasoline-powered crossovers. I will miss the S90. If you've never driven a Volvo S90, you need to do it before they stop selling them. It is an experience that is I don't even have words for it, but you need to drive one. Even if you don't buy it, you need to drive one. It's awesome. Made in China, still awesome. Their V60 wagon, which they import from Europe, will no longer be offered in the U.S., either one of these, starting next year. The raised V60 and V90 cross-country wagons will hang out at least for 2026, and these are Volvo's only non-utility nameplates. And Volvo has not given any guidance on whether they'll be available after that. But based on the way they're going, and this is just me talking, I would say probably no. With it, demand for EVs expected to fall further after federal incentive support ends September 30th, Volvo is pruning its zero-emission lineup. They've already stopped U.S. sales of the battery-powered EC40 compact crossover. The larger EX40 crossover will continue at least for 2026. Again, we don't know if it will go beyond that. And in the United States, they're likely to focus their near-term efforts on the EX30, its smallest and most affordable model. We did a review of the EX30 last year, and you can go into our podcast and find that information. It's a novel little vehicle. It's pretty cool. It's different, though, but still cool. Going forward, Volvo will concentrate on its mild and plug-in hybrid XC40, XC60, and XC90 crossovers, which those three mild and plug-in hybrids, those three accounted for a combined 85% of what Volvo sells in the United States the first half of this year. The XC40, XC60, and XC90. Now, I need to tell you, and we did this review a few weeks back, we drove an EX90, which basically rewrites everything you know about EVs. Everything. And I'm hoping that they'll keep that because it is a vehicle that even though you will have to relearn a lot of stuff, it richly rewards you. Richly. Talking again about the EX30, Volvo's smallest, fastest, and most affordable crossover, will, at first, they reduced U.S. supplies because of the tariffs. They're moving production to Belgium in Europe, and supplies should get better as they do that. Fourth quarter of this year, they're going to introduce what they call the adventure-ready EX30 Cross Country. And it rides on Geely Group, and Geely is Volvo's owner, Sustainable Experience Architecture, or SEA, platform, and produces this little thing, produces 422 horsepower. Oh my God, that is a lot. It's like putting a monster under the hood of this little car. I mean, it'd do everything but fly it with that kind of horsepower. But if you're not familiar with how Volvo does business, let me take a step backwards, because you may not be familiar with what I mean when I talk about cross-country. Volvo's cross-country vehicles, what they call their cross-country line of vehicles, which goes across their different lineup, goes back, 30 years at least, where they take typically a sedan and they kind of make it not quite a crossover, but they'll increase the ground clearance, they'll make it a little rugged looking, a little more truck-like, a little more SUV-like, but it's based in a wagon. And it brings a lot of capabilities, and it's done very well for Volvo. Now they're applying that to an EV, which I got to be able to drive this thing because it's going to be fun. Because I like the little one that I got to drive, the EX30. So the EX30 Cross Country should be an interesting combination, and I'll keep you apprised. Hopefully I'll have one here in the next, 6 months or so, and then we'll see what it's made of. As I mentioned, the Cross Country sits higher off the ground, features black panels in the front bumper and trunk lid. Chunky front and rear skid plates and wheel arch extensions hint at the crossover's off-pavement capabilities. EX60. Let's talk about this. We're talking about Volvo right now. And the midsize electric crossover, and if you'll notice, all of Volvo's electric-based vehicles start with an E. EX60, EX30, EX90, as opposed to, XC40, XC60, XC90. The midsize electric crossover, I'm talking about the EX60, will ride on Volvo's new SPA3 platform and debut a multi-adaptive seatbelt when it arrives in the U.S. by the second half of 2026, which means it's probably a 2027 model. These SPA vehicles will be powered by Volvo's next generation in-house e-motors and higher density battery cells that deliver a longer range. We've talked about where batteries are going towards the end of this decade, and longer range is on everybody's menu. And I would fully expect, I said it before, I will say it again, I believe by the end of the decade, the de facto minimum range of an EV sold in the United States of America will be 500 miles. Toyota will be there next year. Volvo will be closed. Right now, Lucid is there now. At least one Tesla model is there now. GM trucks are close to it at 460 miles of range. Now, 10% more range, in fact, a little less than 10% more range, takes them to 500. I fully expect that to happen. And I fully expect within 5 years for sure, 10 years max, 500 miles will be minimum range. And I also will tell you that I fully expect, because EVs are not going away, people. They're not going away. And we talked about why a few weeks ago. But I fully expect that, if you buy an EV in the United States of America in 2030, 2032, 2033, unless it's a really inexpensive model, the range will be somewhere around 500 miles. Because that's just how the industry rolls. That's how we do it here. And Volvo is going to capitalize on all of it. They're going to keep some of their EVs, but they're going to hedge with these hybrids. Because as I mentioned, those three hybrids are 85% of what they sell right now. I will miss the S90. I will miss the X60. All I'm going to tell you is this. If you haven't experienced an S90, do so while you still can. You will thank me later, particularly if you love large, fast, comfortable sedans. The S90 was all of that. And they did it with a turbocharged, supercharged, believe it or not, 4-cylinder motor. The Nissan Murano has been a staple in the automaker's U.S. lineup for over 20 years. You are listening to the Tech Mobility Show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
Social media is the main place to be these days, and we are no exception. I'm Ken Chester, the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Facebook videos. From my latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary of a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Facebook. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar. Be sure to subscribe to our Facebook page. Social media is the place to be these days, and we're no exception. I'm Ken Chester of the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Instagram videos. From the latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary on a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Instagram. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar. For those of you that listen to podcasts, we have just the one for you. Hi, I'm Ken Chester. Tech Mobility Topics is a podcast where I upload topic-specific videos each week. Shorter than the full show, these bite-sized programs are just the thing, particularly if you're interested in a particular topic covered on the weekly radio show. From Apple Podcast to iHeartRadio and many podcast platforms in between, we got you covered. Just enter Tech Mobility Topics in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts.
How about Italian?
Nah, carbs. Look at that little sushi place.
I was thinking something maybe cooked?
Okay, how about Chinese?
With all-wheel drive and 245 horsepower,
How long have those been hanging there?
you can explore the four corners of the world
I got it.
for dinner.
Happy anniversary.
The Nissan Murano.
How did you get this reservation?
Yeah, he ended up at a hamburger place, in case you were wondering. That commercial introduced the world to the Nissan Murano back in 2003. 22 years, the Murano has been a part of Nissan's lineup in the United States and Canada. And this mid-size crossover SUV was Nissan's first for the United States, designed at Nissan America in La Jolla, California, and based on Nissan's FFL platform, which is shared by the third-generation Ultima sedan and the Maxima. And they were very proud of the FFL. They put it under a lot of stuff back then. Fourth generation of the Murano was revealed in October 2024 as a 2025 model. Because the new Murano bears a strong resemblance to the Nissan Ariya EV that I drove the year before, and I loved that ride, I got behind the wheel of the Murano with high hopes and even higher expectations. The fourth generation brings to the Murano many modern features that were not previously available. Yeah, they went all in on it. Available in 3 trim levels. Even the powertrain changed, and I need to stop right here. Forever, Nissan's go-to motor was a 3.6-liter V6 that was bulletproof, and they usually bolted it to a continuously variable automatic transmission. Nissan's had a lot of challenges with that CVT down through the years, and I'm here to tell you that for 2025, Nissan did 2 things different. The new Murano is not powered by that V6. It's actually powered by a 2-liter turbocharged gasoline 4-cylinder engine that makes 241 horsepower and 260 foot-pounds of torque. Here's something else they did that's new. They mated the engine to an actual 9-speed automatic transmission with paddle shifters, and this vehicle is the first one in the Nissan stable to get it. And 9-speed automatic, they got away from the CVT. EPA fuel economy numbers are 21 city, 27 highway for both front and all-wheel drive configurations. Cargo capacity is 63.5 cubic feet with the second row seats folded flat. And the Murano can tow up to 1,500 pounds. Here's what I liked about the Murano. The new Nissan Murano projected understated luxury inside and out. Premium design and an accommodating cabin include a low step-in height and comfortable seating. The split rear seats fold flat with the large cargo area floor. Head-up display, push-button gear selection, and a good outward view, comfortable seating front and rear, and generally excellent displays, controls, and switchgear make piloting the Murano a very pleasant experience. And as you would imagine, oh yeah, the spare tire is located inside the vehicle, accessible under the cargo area floor. And you know, anybody that's been listening, you know how important that is to me. So for a minute, let's talk about what I didn't like about the Nissan Murano. And unfortunately, it's a long list. Which really broke my heart because the Ariya was so awesome. And this looks so much like it. And I just knew that this vehicle would be every bit as impressive. Here's the biggest problem. I start with the biggest beef I've got. I found for low to moderate speeds, to be blunt, because there's no other way to put it, the powertrain response was inadequate. I had to plant my foot to the floor to get the necessary response required. And this would be, for an example, it's a mid-range move like when merging into traffic from an on-ramp or passing on a 2-lane road. This is not okay. I was expecting typically when you go to a multi-gear automatic like an 8, 9, or 10-speed automatic, what you get is the benefit of getting more power and more manageable power out of the existing power plant. If anything, it optimizes the available torque. This did not happen. This did not happen with this vehicle. I was seriously underwhelmed to the point where it would have impacted my ability or willingness to purchase this vehicle. That's how serious I think this is. Because I really think, and maybe being new, maybe it's programming, because any of these vehicles anymore, it's software. So I don't know if it was just this vehicle that just didn't have it together or what, or if this was just engineered. So in fairness to Nissan, I'd have to drive another Murano to confirm this, because it could have very easily been software. But I'm going to tell you, the one I drove, no, absolutely no. Because it should have given me the added performance needed under load from the engine. Here's another thing. Climate controls come in for special scrutiny in the middle of what is otherwise an awesome presentation. Now, it's a paradox. The climate controls in the displays, controls the switch here, they're easy to operate. But the design of the vents, and I've never, ever had to talk about this, but I have to on this one, presented a challenge when trying to direct airflow. It just did not, it was not user-friendly, which is kind of weird because ergonomics, I mean, honestly, all these years, really? Yeah, wasn't happening. The vents presented a challenge when trying to direct airflow. And then finally, the load floor on the cargo area was really high. And it's going to impede some who wish to make the most of the large cargo area. In other words, those of us short of stature, that's a high lift to get to the load floor. Again, not okay. So what do you think happened here? I mean, I've got a variety of issues. Like, for example, you went to a 9-speed automatic. Okay. You went to a smaller engine. Okay. Why don't I have higher EPA numbers? Why didn't you issue this with maybe a mild hybrid to bump the numbers? That's where everybody is right now, Nissan. And you got an EV for it. You could have introduced the Murano with a mild hybrid and got those numbers at least to the mid-30s. 21 city, 27 highway. 27. Nah. I mean, that was good for 20 years ago, but it's not good now. And that's unfortunate because this vehicle, being such a part of Nissan for so long. But here's what I'm going to tell you. I looked at the sales numbers. From the time it was introduced, the best year Nissan ever had in the United States for the Murano was 2016. And the numbers have been falling since then. They are not even selling a third of what they sold then. So I don't know. The new Murano is what the nameplate needs to stay relevant in the market, but is it enough? The manufacturer's suggested retail price starts at $40,170 and goes all the way up to $49,600. And that's for the Platinum all-wheel drive. Destination charges add $1,390. And again, I ask, this redesign, is it too little, too late? And where is the mild hybrid Nissan really? This needs a mild hybrid. I think that's what's missing in this lineup. According to one U.S. airline, the days of just flying from point A to point B for travel is over. Welcome to the era of lifestyle airline. This is the Tech Mobility Show. Do you listen to podcasts? Seems that most people do. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. If you've missed any of our weekly episodes on the radio, our podcast is a great way to listen. You can find the Tech Mobility Podcast just about anywhere you can enjoy podcasts. Be sure to follow us. From Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many platforms in between, we are there. Just enter the Tech Mobility Podcast in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts. Social media. It's the place to be, and we're no exception. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Several times a week, I post to TikTok several of the topics that I cover on my weekly radio show. It's another way to keep up on mobility, technology, news, and information. I've built quite a library of short videos for your viewing pleasure, so be sure to watch, like, and subscribe. That's the Tech Mobility Show on TikTok. Check it out. My wife and I just returned from a trip back east. Family, we had to go to a funeral, unfortunately. We flew, and when securing the reservation for the trip, we were confronted, I think that's a polite word, with a plethora of choice, opportunities, and upgrades. It seems that this is air travel for the 2020s. For any particular airline brand to cut through the noise, it means that airlines must go the extra mile to draw in customers. For Delta Airlines, that means repositioning itself not just as a form of transport, but also a luxury personalized experience. Welcome to the lifestyle airline. This is Topic B. I remember the days. Fly the friendly skies of United. And Delta is ready when you are. It was all about getting there. It's all about getting there. And in fact, I've been flying commercial aircraft. I've been a passenger in commercial aircraft since I was 15 years old. I'm going back at least 50 years. I remember my first flight. My dad was a master aircraft technician for what was then Allegheny Airlines. It was 1973. I was 15, my first flight. Back then, folks smoked on airplanes. Back then, you got a box lunch. Everybody got fed. Life was good back then. They chipped away at it. They chipped away at it. When we flew to Boston this time, if we wanted lunch, had to pay for it. It wasn't cheap. Oh, you want something other than nuts? The snack? Oh, you pay for it. Go to the back of the magazine, pay for it. Oh, you want priority boarding? Got to pay for it. Oh, you want extra legroom? Got to pay for it. Oh, you want to be able to carry on more than one carry-on? You've got to pay for it. Delta said, okay, we want to cut through the noise. We want to be known. I want to tell you right up front, right here, because we priced all the airlines, Delta's expensive. Let me just be blunt. They are. They are. So with Delta saying, okay, they're rebranding. First time since 2008, because they want to reposition themselves not as a form of transport, but as a luxury personalized experience. And they're rolling out a refresh, which includes new brand colors, motion elements, and topography to appear as more than just an airline. Delta, if you want to be a lifestyle airline, you need to give me more than, fancy looks. How about real services? How about bundling some of this stuff together into your fares and lowering your fares a little bit? How about upping the experience, at least at the fares that you're charging? The landscape of air travel has been in a major state of flux over the past several years as top airline brands in the United States chase bigger bottom lines through an increasingly complex fee system. I say amen, because I've just been through it. According to a Senate report released late last year, and this is only between 2018 and 2023, 5 years, American, Delta, United, Spirit, and Frontier pulled in together, combined $12.4 billion in revenue from ancillary fees like advanced seat assignments and carry-on bags, stuff that had nothing to do with the actual flying of the plane and getting you from point A to point B. No charges. This is on top of that. $12.4 billion over a 5-year period. $12.4 billion. Last year, and you probably read about it, you heard how Spirit Airlines moved from its origins as a low-cost budget carrier by implementing a new seat class with extra add-ons. And even Southwest Airlines, Frank Kelleher's Southwest Airlines, has gotten away from its bags fly free and open seating policies altogether in favor of a tiered pricing system. In other words, Southwest will now look like, after beginning of the next year, like every other airline. You know why? Money. You know why? Because they found that some people were willing to pay for it. And rather than give up that money to airlines like United and American, they're going to make it possible that, no, you don't have to fly them. You can fly us and get a similar experience, if not better. This past July, last month, Delta announced that it had begun using AI to institute dynamic pricing based on factors like seat availability, current news, weather conditions, and even fluctuating oil prices. Let me give you an example. Literally just in the last week, we're looking at going back, family time for Thanksgiving, going back to New England, flying back to Boston. There is an airline that serves out of Des Moines. It is a direct flight to Boston. 2 hours, 28 minutes, no stops, if you can believe it. They don't fly every day, but boy, they are maybe a third to a half of what Delta, American, and United charge. And yeah, they've got a bunch of add-ons too. But still, even with the add-ons, they are still $200 a ticket cheaper. So my question to Delta, as they are rebranding and trying to be a lifestyle airline with a luxury experience, is unless I am a business traveler, Delta, what are you offering me? What are you offering me for this rebranded luxury experience that I am not your bread and butter? Because Delta will tell you, and the numbers are here. In 2024, premium ticket offerings accounted for $5.2 billion out of Delta's total $15.6 billion. And when they say premium ticket offerings, they are talking about their high-paying ticket holders, meaning business travelers. It's 1/3 of the money they took in. Delta even said that he expects consumers to increasingly seek the premium products and experiences that Delta provides. One way the company is supporting that goal is adopting a more premium brand identity. Again, people, identity, that's great. That's fine. You can't eat it, and I can't, and it doesn't help me sitting. What are you offering me, Delta? So what is this lifestyle branding? The brand's end goal was to stand shoulder to shoulder with the world's most iconic lifestyle brands. Because again, they're not just an airline, they're a lifestyle airline. So what does this mean? Lifestyle branding describes kind of branding that expands a customer's brand association beyond an actual product to a way of living based on the brand's core values. Okay, let me make this plain for you. I used to travel a lot by air. I used to rack up a lot of frequent flyer miles. Don't travel like that anymore. And most of that was paid for by the automakers, but I did a lot of traveling. All I care about now when I travel, I want the most comfortable, most direct, less expensive flight that I am not like crammed into a cattle car. That's what I want. Will I pay for extra legroom? Don't want to, but I would. Do I want premium boarding? That's what me and the missus learned that we want because we're a little older, we need a little more time, and trust me, it's worth it. But to get me to fly Delta for that much more, Delta, you're going to have to give me something else because I don't see it. Lifestyle branding, you're an airline. I use you when I want to get somewhere further than I'm willing to drive, period. I'm not going to see the world. I'm just trying to get to the East Coast, Delta. That's all. That's it. And I think most Americans are like that. So, yeah, I don't know where this is going, but unless you're a high roller with Delta, I just don't see the advantage. As if energy needs are not enough here on Earth, NASA plans to build a nuclear reactor in outer space, on the moon specifically. We are the Tech Mobility Show. To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show. Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than aonmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. aonmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
Social media is the place to be these days, and we're no exception. I'm Ken Chester of the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Instagram videos. From the latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary on a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Instagram. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar. Let me be as direct as possible. The administration is accelerating plans to place a nuclear reactor on the moon to power a base for humans. NASA is making plans to launch it to the moon by 2030. A number of people in the scientific community are concerned about the high cost of the effort, as well as what is considered to be a potentially unrealistic schedule. But imagine the possibilities. This is Topic C. Years ago, I talked about space tourism, talked about the potential of a hotel on the moon. And when you stop to think about everything going on, it is not as far-fetched as it sounds anymore. And we were talking about the early part of this decade where they were expecting to have this stuff out on the moon by the end of this decade. Now, I don't know if those timelines still hold true. I sort of doubt it. But imagine if you were going to do something on the moon sustainable, you're going to need more than solar power and batteries, particularly since there's a period of the moon where it's dark for 2 weeks. Sun ain't going to cut it. And if you're going to have power needs, you're going to have significantly more power needs than what you could get from a solar array and rechargeable batteries. So they're talking about doing this. They want to be a leader in space exploration, as China and Russia also aim to use nuclear power on the moon by the end of the decade. I bet you didn't know that. And as I just said, using nuclear energy as power source on the moon is necessary to sustain life there, and that the United States is behind in its efforts. I got a ton of questions. I mean, let's deal with, first off, there's no water, there's no air, so how are you going to run this thing? You can't really run water, and you're going to dissipate this heat. How exactly? Into space, maybe? Okay. Also, what about gravity? How does gravity impact, because the gravity is different on the moon than it is here, how does that impact how this plant runs? I don't know. I'm not an engineer. NASA now wants to launch a nuclear reactor of at least 100 kilowatts, and this would generate less power than a typical nuclear reactor in the United States, but it could power only 70 to 80 homes. Okay, let that sink in a minute. Enough power to power 70 or 80 homes on the moon. And if they get it right, who's to say this is the only one they send up there? Maybe send 4 or 5 eventually over the next 20 years, particularly if they get it right. But there are questions. What happens when you decommission it? How do you get it back? What do you do with it? How do you dispose of it? What are the questions? How do you refuel it? What do you do with the spent rods? All questions. All questions. And part of the answer is, 1, nuclear reactors on the moon need to radiate their excess heat directly into space. Number 2, that means they need large radiators that can help them dissipate the heat load. Number 3, the reactor's design also requires them to operate at a, wait for it, higher temperature than on Earth. I got one question. How do you test this? You're not just going to send up an untested nuclear reactor, put it on the moon, things go wrong, and you go, oh, well. I don't even know how you begin to test that, but you're going to have to test it. Now, they readily acknowledge that moonquakes, never knew there was such a thing, meteorite strikes could damage a reactor, but they believe that the chances are slim. And if something did happen on the surface, since there's no wind, no water, it's not like it's going to move the radioactivity around. It's going to be pretty much confined to wherever it happened. Unlike on Earth, where radioactive fallout can be spread over long distances by wind and rain. But the folks looking at this and talking about it said the problem with a nuclear reactor being on the moon is not the primary safety issue. The main concern is getting it up there and what happens once it reaches the end of its lifespan. By comparison, in the United States, a reactor can last as long as 80 years. Here's something you probably did not know. You're probably wondering, okay, how many nuclear reactors in the United States do we have? And thank you for asking that question, because I was surprised when they told me 94. I didn't realize that there were 94 commercially operated nuclear reactors in the United States today. And that's according to the U.S. Department of Energy. A typical nuclear reactor, by comparison, generates at least 1 gigawatt of power, which is the equivalent of 100 million LED light bulbs, according to the department. So basically 1 gigabyte as opposed to 100 kilowatts. Considerably more. 94 commercially operated nuclear reactors right now in the United States. If you'd asked me, I'd have said maybe 10 or 15. 94. And by the way, those 94 generate about 20% of the electrical load in the United States, in case you didn't know. So they're not crazy. Here's another question, and the article doesn't address it. Are they looking at developing an SMR, and we've talked about this, a small modular reactor? I'm sure they're not talking about the traditional large reactors that have been plagued and problemed and overrun with budgets and all that. This doesn't really explain the technology that they're planning to use. And for the record, there are no SMRs operating in the United States right now. There are pilot plans to do it, but nobody has an operating SMR now. So what are you going to send up there? And if you send somebody else's, have you vetted it? Do you know it's going to run? What are you going to do for training? Who's going to run this thing? Who's going to manage this thing? Despite all the problems and their challenges, like, for example, 20% of NASA's workforce took the deferred resignation program, and their budget's been getting slashed, although they snagged some money specifically for this project and bumped it up temporarily by $10 billion through 2032. But the question is, what are they going to run up there? How long is it going to last? Who's going to maintain it? And what happens if something goes wrong? But it's an important step. They want to be ahead of China and Russia. It's an important step to do. And honestly, it is also the groundwork for colonizing the place. You got to have power because that's how you get your water desalinated and everything. You got to have power. You got to have energy. Sustainable, reliable energy. And then the other question, what's the fail-safe if you have a problem with this and you got to shut it down? Then what? So, yeah, a lot of questions. They don't think they can be done in the 5 years that they're anticipating by getting it up there and, launching it in 2030. The folks in the field say, no, that's not possible, but we'll see. American ingenuity is an amazing thing, particularly when the great minds are brought to bear. The potential for the future is great if they get it right. Not so much if they don't get it right.